lovely children. I welcome you again to this lesson. I'll be taking you through science, and my name is Miss Boatin. This is Basic 3 Science. Today we'll talk about diversity of matter. To be specific, we'll talk about living and non-living things. Okay, so by the end of today's lesson, you should be able to classify plants and animals with their life processes. So we talk about plants and animals, and then we'll look at their life processes. Very good. Let us move on to our keywords, which will help us to understand the lesson better. We have 2 keywords. The first keyword is living things. Living things. They are things which can grow, move, breathe, and reproduce. Living things are things which can grow, move, breathe, and reproduce. Our second keyword is life processes. Life processes. They are a series of actions such as movements, growth, reproduction that are important for a living thing or being to sustain. Let me take it again. Life processes. They are a series of actions, the things that we do, such as movement, growth, reproduction, that are important for a living being or a living thing to sustain. To sustain means to be able to live. Very good. So in our previous class, that is class 2, we learned about living and non-living things. We spoke about plants and then animals, the different types of plants. That is the erect plant, the creeping plant, and then the climbing plant. And then you also looked at different kinds of animals. In this lesson, we'll continue with the living things, but then we'll look at the life processes or their life processes, how they are able to sustain or to live. Now look on your screens. Look at the picture below. What do you see? Identify some of the plants you can see. So what type of plants do you see there? You can see an erect plant with different kinds of animals. That's the giraffe. Okay, the second picture. Observe and identify some animals you can see. So there's one type of animal there. That is the bird. What type of bird is that? The parrot. Very good. So these are some of the living things, or the 2 types of living things that we have. That's the plants and then the animals. That is what we'll be looking at in this lesson. So the many things around us can be grouped into living things and then non-living things, as I said. But for the sake of this lesson, we won't look at non-living things because you've done that in your previous classes. That's class 1 and then class 2. Today we'll look at living things. Living things. So living things are either plants or animals. There are life processes that only living things exhibit. That is, there are things that only living things can show, that is exhibit, to show something. So plants and animals differ by the way they eat. Yes, plants eat. They also move, and then they reproduce. So these life processes make living things different from non-living things. So in this lesson, as I said, we shall group living things into plants and animals according to their life processes. Look at these pictures again. What is the first picture you see? A beautiful cat. A kitten. And then the next picture, that's the hen. They are both what? Animals. Now, we have another set of pictures over here. Look at the first picture. They are insects. They are animals. So there are different types of insects. We can see some of them around us. Some we've not seen before. So we have something like the ants, we have the bee, the butterfly, very common. The caterpillar, we have the cockroach. Most of you are afraid of cockroaches. When you see a cockroach, then you start running. Don't run, okay? They are our friends. Okay, so the other picture, we can see different types of fishes as well. So we can see the tilapia, the herrings, the redfish, and then other types of fishes. They are all classified under what? Animals. Now look at these pictures also. These are the three types of plants. The first one, we have the erect plant. You see it standing upright, straight. Can you give me examples of erect plants? The mango tree, very good. The coconut tree, the orange tree, the guava tree, very good. Now the second picture, you see the plant growing on the floor. That is the what? The creeping plant. So the example we have on our screen is the pumpkin. It is a what? A creeping plant. And then the last plant we have is the climbing plant. You can see that the plant is climbing up a tree. So cocoyam is an example of a climbing plant. Very good. So the question is, do these plants and animals need air? Do they need water and food? They are good to go. So the last picture we have is the climbing plants. You can see the plants climbing up a tree. Some example of a climbing plant is the yam. We also have the grapes, the vine, and others. Good. So children, the question is, do these plants and animals need air? Do they need water and food? Do they grow? Do they reproduce young ones of their kind? Do they move by themselves? We will get there. That is what? Their life processes. What makes them living things. So the following are ways in which plants and animals differ by their life processes. So now we are looking at their life processes. That's plants and animals, their life processes. So the first life process is nutrition. Nutrition. Plants prepare their own food using sunlight. So you've been asking, how do they feed or eat? They prepare their own food using sunlight energy by a process called photosynthesis. So the process of the plants producing their own food through the sunlight or by the sunlight is known as photosynthesis. On the other hand, animals rather feed on plants and other animals. Now let us look at the pictures. We see the sunlight pointing towards the leaves of the animal. You can see the sun shining towards the leaves of the plants. So the sun gives the plants energy to produce their own food. So in this case, we can see that there's water underneath or at the roots, and then the leaves or the plants gives us oxygen, and then humans give plants carbon dioxide, as you can see in the picture for the plants. And then the second picture, we can see which animal is that? The lion. Yes, they feed on other animals. Those types of animals are known as the carnivore. So they feed on other animals, and they even feed on humans. When you come across or you see a lion, the lion is likely to what? Eat you up. That's why they are always kept in a cage at the zoo, or they are in the what? In the forest. Very good. Let us move on. Our second life process is movement. Movement. So plants and animals have different ways of movement. Plants are fixed in the soil. Have you ever seen a plant moving before? Never. They are fixed in the soil. They cannot move from one place to another. But however, they show movement in the direction of the sun or the light. Did you get that? Plants are fixed in the soil. They can't move from one place to the other, but they show movement in the direction of the sun or the light. So wherever the sun is, that is where the plant grows towards. Is that okay? They move to that direction. This movement of plants in the direction of the sun is called phototropism. Phototropism. So that is the movement of the plant towards the sun or towards the light. We have a picture illustration below. So we can see the sun or the light, and then we can see the plant. you realize that the plant is facing the direction of the sun or the light. So that is how the plants move. So plants also move. Let's look at the case of the animals. Animals move from one place to another in search of food or shelter. They can walk, crawl, run, gallop, swim, or fly. Have you ever seen an animal flying before? What about swimming, galloping, running, crawling, or even walking? Now let us look at these animals. So animals move in different ways. We have animals that can run, animals that hop, animals that swim, and then animals that fly. Most of the birds fly. Some also walk, gallop. Is that okay? They also run. So some animals that you see running around, especially, typically it is the dog, or maybe the cat. They walk, they run. Is that okay? You see the kangaroo, it hops. And then fishes swim in water. Have you seen an aquarium before? Yes, you see the fishes swimming in the aquarium. It is very, very nice. Okay, so we are moving on. Our third life process is breathing. Breathing. So plants give off oxygen, as I said before. So plants, they give us oxygen, and they take in carbon dioxide from animals and from humans. So through the process of photosynthesis, plants give off, that's they exhale, they bring out oxygen. So when they bring out the oxygen, we take it, and then when we also breathe out, we give them oxygen. Right, so animals, on the other hand, breathe in oxygen from plants and give off carbon dioxide. So this is the exchange of gases that exist between plants and animals. So the plant gives the animals oxygen, and then the animals also gives the plants carbon dioxide. Okay, so plants and animals respire with oxygen, that's they breathe. They break down food substances in their cells, in the body, to give energy to their system to be able to stay strong. This process is called respiration. Before we get to our last life process, let us look at the picture we are seeing on our screen. So we have the sunlight, we have a tree, an erect plant, a dog, a human being. So you realize that there's oxygen coming from the plant to the human, or to the animal, to the dog. And then in return, the human is giving carbon dioxide to the plant. So it is a give and take process. Okay, so our last life process is reproduction. Reproduction. Plants and animals are able to give rise to new members of their own kind. They are able to give rise. It means to produce or reproduce new members of their own kind. A dog can't give birth to a parrot. It is never possible. A dog will give birth to a what? Another dog. So the process by which plants and animals give rise to new members of their own kind is called reproduction. Reproduction. It is where animals give rise or give birth or hatch their younger ones and give them what? Life. So in the picture, we see plants or a plant germinating or growing. It started from a seed and then it started growing from the what? From the soil. So it will start growing and then becomes what? Big. A huge plant. A parent plant. Okay, so the next picture you can see an elephant with its baby. So an elephant, as I said, an animal can give birth to another kind of animal. It's their own kind. So we can see an elephant with its young one. Very good. That was interesting, wasn't it? Yes. So we've looked at plants and animals by their life processes, how they are able to sustain, how they are able to live, what makes them live. Okay, so what have we learned today? In summary, let us look at the table on our screen. So we have plants and we have animals. So the first one, plants prepare their own food, while animals feed on plants and other animals. Plants are mostly fixed in the soil, but animals are free to move from one place to another. Plants reproduce by seeds, stems, leaves, and roots, but animals reproduce by laying eggs and hatching them or giving birth to young ones. And then the last one, plants give us oxygen and take in carbon dioxide, while animals breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Very good. Now take your jotters. We have some small exercise to do. When we meet on Zoom, I'll ask for it and then we'll do it together on Zoom meeting or in the Zoom class. So sort the living things using the table into plants and animals. So the first one, we have ant, mango tree, goat, cat, parrot, coconut, grass, and then mosquito. So you put them in their respective places. Is plant an animal or a plant? So you do this exercise for me. I'll come your way again, children. Till then, be safe and then come on Zoom meetings. Bye-bye.